What is going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown, and if you're new here, welcome. Every year for every NFL team, there's always that one player or a group of players that just totally break out of nowhere, and it surprises every NFL fan. For the Atlanta Falcons, there's a lot of players that have the chance to break out in 2020, and we're going to go over those players starting right now. Now, before we begin, we're going to stay away from the obvious breakouts like Julio Jones or Matt Ryan. Like, seriously, we have to go into depth on why they're going to break out. And we're also going to stay away from players to where we kind of know who they are at this point, like Deone Bucannon. Excellent player. I love Deone Bucannon. Now, is he going to, break out and be so much better than he was with the Cardinals or whatnot? Like, no, I think he's just been in the league for long enough. We know who he's going to be, but he's still going to be an excellent player. These are a list of players that I think are going to totally just break out and just surprise everyone, not just Falcons fans, but like the whole entire NFL. And this all starts out with kind of a group of players right here. I'm just going to say the whole secondary has a chance to break out in 2020. And this includes Isaiah Oliver, Kendall Sheffield, and AJ Terrell. Now, describing why they're going to break out is it's the same reasoning for every corner. For Isaiah Oliver, Kendall Sheffield, and AJ Terrell, the reason I think they are going to potentially break out is not only are they solid in coverage, they're good players, like they're very fast, very physical. We saw flashes from Kendall Sheffield and Isaiah Oliver last year. They showed they can do some really good things. And with AJ Terrell, obviously in college, he showed he can do some really good things. But now that Raheem Morris is in as the defensive coordinator for the Falcons, who was a former secondary coach as well, so that's a good thing to note if your defensive coordinator mainly knows about secondary. And, I mean, come on, like, did you not see what Raheem Morris did last year when he was moved to basically defensive coordinator? Yeah, he totally switched that defense around in the second half of 2019. So Raheem Morris as an excellent defensive-minded guy and a former secondary coach, and then also what Isaiah Oliver, Kendall Sheffield, and AJ Terrell can do. I do still believe the secondary is our biggest question mark on the team, but they do have a lot of potential to break out in 2020. The next player that could break out in 2020 is, of course, Calvin Ridley. If he breaks out in 2020, I don't think we need to necessarily say he's like a potential breakout because at this point he's just been doing it his whole career. But we're still going to put him here because he's only entering his third year in the league. He pretty much breaks out all the time. Like, he broke out in 2018. He did even better in 2019. He's a great route runner. He's definitely improving his hands. Like, I think he's getting a lot better at catching the football. And of course, he's got a great offense to work with alongside Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley obviously has potential to break out for 2020. And if he does break out in 2020, we don't necessarily need to put Calvin Ridley in the potential breakout stars anymore because at this point he's just used to it. The next player that is going to possibly break out in 2020 is Todd Gurley. And I kind of already made a video about Todd Gurley. Go ahead and check that out, but I will just kind of briefly explain why he will break out. And I know that's kind of weird to say, like, wait, Todd Gurley is a potential breakout star? I thought he was like one of the stars in the league. Well, now that he has that arthritis injury, nobody's really going to know if he's ever going to return back to form like he was in 2017 and 18, and even in 2015. But if you look on social media, it looks like Todd Gurley is returning to form from that arthritis injury, and he can still play. I mean, with the arthritis injury he had last year, he still racked up 800 yards and 12 touchdowns, which is pretty good for a player who had an injury bothering him all year. And he's playing for the state of Georgia. Obviously, that means something to him. He's coming back home. He was a former Georgia Bulldog. That's probably really the reason he went back to the Falcons, is because he's playing for the state of Georgia. Of course, yeah, he wants to play for basically his hometown. So that's obviously going to mean something to him. For more on Todd Gurley, check out my video. But those are kind of like the brief explanations on why I think he can break out. The next player that can possibly break out in 2020 is Dante Fowler Jr. And I'm very high on him. I think he's going to do amazing things for us. But to be fair, you can have some question marks on him because he really only had one good year in his whole NFL career, and that would be last year in 2019 with the Los Angeles Rams. He had 11.5 sacks, so now that he's with a new team, is he going to do as good? I think so. I mean, he's coming off of a breakout season, so that's one thing. But he's also playing for a coach that he wants to play for in Dan Quinn. Obviously, if you have a player that's wanting to play for a certain team, of course you can expect him to do some good things. It's just how it works. Like, if you are working with a boss that you want to work for, you're going to do a lot better in your job. It's just how it works. So, Dante Fowler working with someone that he wants to work with, that's a pretty good sign he's going to break out. He's also alongside Grady Jarrett, who I think is an excellent player, and he's probably going to do great yet again in 2020. So Dante Fowler next to a good player, and he's playing with a coach he wants to play for, and also coming off a good 2019 season. Dante Fowler could certainly break out in 2020. And the last player that could possibly break out in 2020 is Hayden Hurst. Not only is Hayden Hurst a much better option than Austin Hooper, when Austin Hooper got released, I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do at tight end? And when I saw what Hayden Hurst was able to do, it already seems like he was the better option for Matt Ryan, who, by the way, loves throwing to tight ends. So that's one thing, is Matt Ryan loves throwing to tight ends. So Hayden Hurst is going to have a lot of opportunities to catch the football. But anyway, Hayden Hurst is an athletic and strong tight end. He's got great hands, and he has a much better offense to work with than, it sounds crazy, but Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Falcons do have a better quarterback, a better receiving duo. This is just a whole better offense to work with. He's got a quarterback that loves throwing to tight ends. Hayden Hurst didn't exactly get a lot of opportunities so far in the NFL. I think he's going to get them here. And just overall what he brings to the table, he could certainly break out in 2020. But that's my list. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Other than that, I will always love and appreciate you all for the support. I will see you guys this Tuesday with a video at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. As always, rise up.